choice there. Howard Parkin's choice of music, Forrest Matthews' Southern Comfort and Woodstock. And I spotted the line.
It is rather good, isn't it?
Tell us what
we
it
are
is.
made of stardust. We are stardust. We are golden. And that's the line that I really want people to hear, because that concept that we are made from the stuff of stars, we are made of stardust, is absolutely 100% true. I tell people quite often, when you consider, for instance, every human body has got iron in it. We can taste it when you cut yourself and you taste the blood, that metallic taste. That's iron, that's ferrous compounds you're tasting. The iron in your body was forged in supernova explosions that took place billions of years ago, and the atoms of iron have been spread out into the universe and been absorbed into our bodies by the processes of life on Earth.
But it is a very romantic idea.
Oh, it's
we are
lovely.
stardust.
We're made of stardust. Yeah, lovely.
Now, there's been an interest in astronomy for what, thousands of years,
Oh,
hasn't
absolutely. I mean, they say it's the second oldest profession in the world. I'll let you work out the first.
there? I couldn't imagine what that
On
what
a
that
Sunday
could be.
evening as well.
Moving swiftly on.
We better had.
Moving swiftly on, I have in front of me a planisphere,
Yep.
which shows the position of the stars and constellations for every night of the year. And this is the gift you promised that you would give
Indeed.
me. So how do I use this?
Very simply, all you do, if you see how it's got an inner dial, it's got two things that move together. And basically you set the time and the date to the same date. The inner circle and the outer circle, you move it round, and so that you get, for instance, you'll get to June the 27th and the date and the time.
Now, I'm just carefully unwrapping it all.
Oh, well.
And so I can...
See how it moves.
So round the edge, it's a bit like a time clock, isn't it?
It is the same basic idea. I mean, what it's basically, it's a map of the whole sky, but then it's giving you the window and what's visible from your particular location. This is set for 51 degrees north. They make them for different latitudes on the planet. The 51 degrees north is perfectly all right for us. But you just swivel it round, you turn it round until you get the date and the time together.
So, yes, I'm looking at it. It says on the bottom here that it is, as you say, 51.5 degrees north.
That's it.
And this one is appropriate for Northern Europe, which would be
Yep.
us. So here we are. I'm moving this round now to June. And to June, the last Sunday in June.
Yeah, the inner circle is the time.
And so this is noon.
That's why you don't want noon, because of course there's no stars
No.
out then. Only
Well,
one star
no.
out then.
So, yes, and so here we are. So we've gone round to evening. And so you just set it to wherever you are. So if I was out on my late night walk at 10 o'clock,
Set it to 2200 or 10 p.m.
2200, and on this day in June.
That's it.
And so then
Now-
I look in the middle.
Yeah, the middle bit, the window, which is now black, of course, all the stars are in it, all the blue bits, you don't want to worry about them. That is
Yes.
a snapshot of the sky tonight. You hold it over your head so that
Yes.
the southern hemisphere, where it says S for southern and N for northern, is in their appropriate positions, and that's how you use it. And the whole principle of it, the way it works, is because the pin in the middle that it swivels round, that's the pole
Yes.
star. That is the pole star. So what I often tell people to do when they're working out how to use one of these things is use the hole in the middle and find the pole star and actually
Yes.
line it up on it. And that's the pole star. And then everything else will fall into place. The plough, for instance, the Big Dipper as they call it, will be to the right-hand side, slightly overhead.
Yeah.
And that's where the plough is. And then once you've found the plough or any other principal constellations, you can then use the rest of it. And if you're saying, what's that group of stars there? You use your planisphere to tell you.
You would be...
They're amazing instruments. They're so useful.
This is incredible. It's so simple.
It is.
So simple to use. I have to say that when you very kindly said, I should give you a planisphere, and I thought, I bet I won't be able to work this out at all.
Oh,
But
no.
It's so simple, and yet it's got so much information.
It is packed with information. It tells you the name of the constellations, the name of the stars. If you look on the back, it'll even tell you the positions of the planets. But I don't tend to bother doing that because the planets are so obvious normally. Once you get any interest or any details of astronomy whatsoever, you're going to work out or know where the planets are quite quickly.
Yes, yeah, and of course we're looking at the actual planisphere itself now, but it's got a whole lot, a wealth of information,
Oh,
and in
yeah.
fact shows you somebody using it. And
They
the whole
are an
thing.
excellent
Yeah.
piece of
Great.
equipment, and they're so useful. I have one whenever I go away. I always take one with me for whichever latitude I'm at, whether it be equatorial or southern hemisphere or northern hemisphere, because sometimes I get caught out. Because you might think we know a lot about it, and thankfully I do. But sometimes I just look up at the sky and I think, what on earth's that? The famous one of that, the most famous example of that, I must have mentioned this before, was I was actually on a ship heading across the equator, heading south. And I was asked to do some stargazing on deck, which I do all the time. And I suddenly thought to myself, hang on a minute, I better go upstairs the night before, make sure I know what I'm looking at. I went up on deck, I had no clue what I was looking at. We were in the southern hemisphere, weren't we? I hadn't got a clue. I did have my planisphere with me, I did have a book with me and all the rest, and I realised, fortunately, the ship was heading due south, which meant from the back of the ship we were looking due north, so people didn't even realise it. But I learnt that lesson, and I have not done that again. I've made sure if I know what's visible in the sky at that particular date, just look it up on the planisphere, look it up on a computer or in a book, and then I know what I'm showing people. The Southern Cross, of course, is the thing that people want to see from anywhere around the equator or south. The Southern Cross is a wonderful group of stars. It's a bit like our plough. It's very prominent, very easy to spot, but it's quite distinctive.
Well, now, you have been appointed just very recently as resident astronomer on a
Indeed.
cruise line, which I think, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It shows that, because you don't get that kind of appointment unless you're pretty knowledgeable. But I think also, doesn't it indicate that how seriously the cruise lines are taking people's interest in astronomy?
Very much.
So tell me, what is the... what's the real purpose? Does this make an added commitment on you, Howard?
Well, it does. When we go away now, instead of going away for just a week or 2 weeks for a cruise, I've got to commit to about 4 weeks at a minimum. But what we're trying to do, my wife and I, is just go for about 1 or twice a year. But basically, what you do when you're on board, you're not just giving lectures. Like I could give lectures on forensic science or art or history or whatever. You're committed to being the whole package, as it were. So what I'm doing, I'm giving lectures, 2 of which are what they call the iconic lectures, which they've actually asked me to write, which was great honour and privilege for me to do so. So these iconic lectures will be presented by the resident astronomer on board on whichever ship, not necessarily just by me. And they've got to be presented exactly as they are. One's on the history of astronomy, the other one's on NASA, which is an interesting subject. We'll come back to that. But as well as that, I also do some of my own lectures, like my Stardust lecture, and my views of Southern Comfort. But then we do astronomy on deck as well. We also have question and answer sessions. But most exciting of the lot is this particular ship, the Viking Orion, which was only launched at the beginning of June. Sorry, not launched, it was christened at the beginning of June. It's got a planetarium on board. So I'm now in Clover. I can go on a ship, and I would love to get that ship into Manx waters. I would love to get it into Manx waters, and I'm sure there'd be a host of people wanting to go and see it, because a planetarium is just an amazing piece of equipment. Basically, you sit back in a lovely comfy chair and the sky moves around you. You can see everything we've been talking about. I could actually demonstrate to you on the screen using the planetarium controls, because not only have they got the planetarium, but they wanted someone to learn how to use it. So they sent me across and trained me how to use it. And I'm still getting to grips with it all, but I'm delighted to say it's been very successful, and it's just very exciting. And who would have thought I'd be doing this all these years ago? And I'm so fortunate, and I know I'm lucky to have done this, and I've just fell into this opportunity. But it's just great, and I love talking about it, as you probably gathered, to any audience that'll listen to me.
Well, the great thing about it, Howard, is that as you do these different things, as it all evolves and grows, I mean, what you're painting here is a picture of something which is building interest and employing all the latest technology.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering is, these 3-dimensional glasses.
Oh, that's coming.
Surely that's going to make a
Not
big
3D.
impact.
Forget 3D. Virtual reality. Virtual reality. And the company Evans Sutherland, who went and did the training course with, they're actually working on it's a 360-degree immersive cinema. That's what they call them. That's what we've got at the Nunnery with Adrian Bell and the Dome Project. That's another great thing he's doing there. But 3D, I won't say his old hat, but 3D glasses, people don't like 3D glasses. The cinemas, it works, but it's not as successful. It hasn't taken off as much as they'd hoped. But virtual reality, that's a different matter altogether. When you put these headsets on and you're actually on the moon, I went to one on holiday in New Zealand a few years ago when my wife and I went on holiday, and Air New Zealand had this cabin, and you sat in a seat just like you're on an airplane. You put these 3D glasses on, you're on the beach in Hawaii. You're watching the fireworks in Hong Kong, or going around a TT course. They didn't do that one, but they should have done. And that's the next big step. And the idea is they can use these 360-degree domes, planetariums, call them what you like, to the same effect. So again, technology is leaping ahead all the time.